Let's be honest. Your cabin steward is the hardest working person you'll meet on your cruise. They clean dozens of rooms every single day, sometimes twice a day, and they do it with a smile. But behind that polite smile, there are things passengers do that drive them absolutely crazy. These are the secrets they won't tell you to your face, but every experienced cruiser should know. The first thing that really bothers cabin stewards is when guests leave their cabin in complete chaos. Clothes everywhere, trash tossed on the floor, empty glasses stacked on every surface. It makes their already tough job even harder. Of course, they'll still clean it, but what they wish is that passengers treated the cabin with just a little respect. A tidy cabin means they can clean faster and better, leaving more time to make your room feel like a fresh retreat instead of a battlefield. The second secret is about the "Do Not Disturb" sign. Passengers sometimes leave it on the door all day, and that throws off the steward's schedule completely. They have dozens of cabins to clean, and they work on a tight timeline. If you block them out all day, it forces them to either come back at odd times or miss the chance to clean your room at all. Stewards won't complain, but inside they're thinking, if only you let me in for 10 minutes, your cabin could be fresh and ready. Another thing that really irritates them is when guests hide or hoard dirty dishes. Some passengers push plates under the bed, stash cups in drawers, or stack them in corners as if they'll magically disappear. But stewards aren't dishwashers. That's the job of another team. When they find these surprise piles of plates, it slows them down and makes them scramble to get everything back to the right place. Then there's the issue of wet towels on the floor. Stewards see it all the time. Soggy towels tossed into a corner like laundry. Not only does it make the room smell, but it's also more work for them to pick up and deal with. What they wish passengers knew is that you can simply leave towels on the rack or in the bathroom, and they'll replace them without a problem. Something else stewards secretly dislike is when guests demand extra freebies every single day. Yes, they'll happily give you more towels or soap if you need it. But when passengers ask for mountains of extras, dozens of towels, extra pillows, or a bag full of toiletries, it feels wasteful and adds unnecessary stress. They'll still smile and bring what you ask for, but inside, they're wishing guests would be more considerate. Another secret frustration is when guests ignore safety rules inside the cabin. Candles, irons, even cooking appliances. They're all banned for a reason, but some passengers sneak them in anyway. Stewards hate finding this kind of stuff because not only is it dangerous, but it also puts their job at risk. Cabin stewards also dislike when passengers treat them like invisible workers. Many cruisers are kind and polite, but some act as though stewards don't exist, walking past without a hello, or leaving the room without a word. The truth is, those little moments of kindness make a huge difference. A smile or a thank you costs nothing but goes a long way for someone working non-stop behind the scenes. Another big one is when guests leave valuables scattered all over the room. Stewards are trained to never touch personal belongings, but when expensive jewelry, cash, or electronics are left lying out, it makes them nervous. They don't want any misunderstandings, and they hate the pressure of being blamed if something goes missing. That's why they secretly wish passengers used the safe more often. Something stewards really dread is when guests make impossible requests at the worst times. Asking for 10 extra blankets right before dinner service, demanding a room change through the steward, or expecting them to fix things that only maintenance can handle. It stretches them thin. They'll try to help, but they're not magicians, and it's hard when passengers don't understand the limits of their role. Another habit they dislike is when passengers leave their bathroom in a disaster zone. Toiletries exploded, toothpaste splattered, hair clogging the sink. Stepping into that mess can be the worst part of their shift. They'll clean it up, of course, but what they wish is that passengers show just a little care to make their job less overwhelming. Here is one you may not expect. Stewards hate when passengers leave their curtains wide open with the balcony light on at night. It attracts insects, especially in tropical areas, and sometimes even creates safety issues. They'd never say it, but they silently hope you'll close the curtains when you're done enjoying the view. They also dislike when passengers treat the cabin like a party room. Loud music, spilled drinks, and confetti from celebrations create messes that take forever to clean. Stewards aren't there to be your cleanup crew after a nightclub. They were there to make your cabin a comfortable space. Another frustration is when passengers never leave the cabin during cleaning hours. Stewards have to work around people napping, showering, or lounging, which slows everything down. They wish guests knew that a quick step out for 15 minutes would make everything smoother. And finally, stewards secretly dislike when guests forget that they are human too. They have families back home, long hours, and sometimes only a few hours of rest between shifts. A little patience, understanding, and respect go a long way. At the end of the day, your cabin steward wants to give you the best experience possible. They'll never complain to your face, but now you know the 14 things that secretly frustrate them. Avoiding these habits not only makes their life easier, it also makes your cruise better. Because a happy steward is the best kept secret to a perfect cabin experience. When you hear these frustrations, you start to realize that cabin stewards are like the silent heroes of every cruise. They make sure your room feels clean, safe, and welcoming, even though they're juggling dozens of cabins at once. Think about it. While you are enjoying a cocktail on deck or watching a show in the theater, they're moving quickly from one cabin to the next, changing sheets, replacing towels, restocking toiletries, and making everything spotless. That's why the little things you do, or don't do, matter more than you think. One steward once admitted off the record that the worst cabins are always the ones where guests treat the room like a hotel they'll never see again. Trash piled high, food hidden under beds, sticky drinks spilled on the floor. Those cabins can take 3 times longer to clean than the average one. Now multiply that by 20 or 30 cabins a day, and you can imagine how exhausting it becomes. On the other hand, many stewards say their favorite passengers are the ones who show a bit of courtesy. Hanging up towels instead of throwing them on the floor, keeping shoes tucked away, or even just saying good morning with a smile. It creates a sense of mutual respect. Those guests usually get the extra touches, like towel animals on the bed, or quicker response to requests because the steward feels appreciated. Another thing that passengers rarely think about is how hard it is when someone uses the "Do Not Disturb" sign all day. Stewards are on strict schedules, and if they can't get into a cabin, they may not have time to return before their shift ends. That's why some passengers are surprised when they come back late at night and find the room hasn't been cleaned. The steward didn't ignore them. They simply didn't have a chance to get in. They'll never say it, but they secretly wish more passengers understood the balance between privacy and practicality. There's also the issue of safety. Stewards hate finding things like candles, travel irons, or even small hot plates hidden in the cabin. They know passengers want comfort, but they also know how quickly fire can spread on a ship. That's their worst nightmare. Many stewards have stories about confiscating items that could have put everyone at risk. They smile when they hand you the safety leaflet, but inside, they're hoping you take it seriously. And perhaps the most human frustration of all is when guests treat them as if they are invisible. Imagine cleaning up after someone every day for a week, making their bed, folding their clothes, restocking their bathroom, and never hearing so much as a thank you. It wears on them. Stewards are proud of their work, but they're also people who appreciate kindness. A smile, a greeting, or a thank you note can change their entire day. Some even keep those notes tucked away in their pockets as reminders of why they do what they do. By now, you can probably see that the way you treat your cabin steward shapes your entire cruise experience. The little habits that frustrate them are easy to avoid once you know about them. And the rewards for treating them well? They're not just cleaner cabins or extra towel animals, it's the feeling that your steward is truly looking out for you, making your trip smoother, friendlier, and more enjoyable. So the next time you sail, remember the 14 things your steward secretly hates. Don't leave your room in chaos. Don't hoard dishes. Don't hide dangerous items. And above all, don't forget that the person cleaning your cabin is more than just a worker. They were the quiet engine that keeps your cruise comfortable. In the end, the best kept cruise secret isn't about the food, the shows, or the ports of call. It's about respect. Respect your cabin steward. and you will discover a whole new level of service and care that can make your cruise unforgettable. And here's the truth most passengers never realize. Your cabin steward sees more of your habits than anyone else on the ship. They know if you're the kind of guest who makes life easier or harder. They notice if you leave towels everywhere, if you're careless with valuables, or if you treat them with kindness. And while they'll never call you out, the way you behave often decides the kind of service you receive in return. Think about it this way. If you were cleaning dozens of rooms in a single shift, which guests would you go the extra mile for? The ones who slam doors and leave a mess, or the ones who smile, say thank you, and make your job just a little lighter? The answer is obvious, and that's the hidden dynamic of cruising that nobody talks about. So the next time you step into your cabin, remember the secrets you've just learned. Don't be the guest who drives their steward crazy. Be the one they actually look forward to seeing. You'll not only make their day better, you'll make your cruise smoother, brighter, and maybe even a little more magical. Because in the end, the real luxury of cruising isn't just the ship or the destinations. It's the people who work quietly behind the scenes, making every moment easier than you'll ever know. Respect them, and you'll unlock the best-kept secret of cruising. That the greatest service comes not from demanding it, but from earning it through kindness. So now you know the truth. 14 little things that can secretly drive your cabin steward crazy. They'll never complain, they'll never scold you, and they'll always keep smiling. But behind that smile, there's a story. And the more you understand what life is like for them, the better your cruise becomes. If this is your first sailing, take these lessons to heart. If you've cruised before, think back. Have you made some of these mistakes without realizing it? The best part is, it's never too late to change. A little awareness, a little respect, and a little kindness go a long way at sea. And here's something to remember. The small choices you make don't just affect your cabin steward. They ripple out. They affect the passengers who come after you, the crew who shares the workload, and ultimately, the experience you carry home. When you treat your steward well, you're not just improving their day, you're improving your own trip. So on your next cruise, walk into your cabin with fresh eyes. Think about what you've learned here. Pack lighter. Be considerate. Smile when you see your steward in the hallway. And maybe, just maybe, you'll unlock a level of service and care that most passengers never realize is there. After all, the true secret of cruising isn't tea. It's hidden in the ports or the dining rooms or the entertainment. It's hidden in the people who quietly make your vacation feel effortless. Treat them right, and you'll discover that respect is the most valuable upgrade you'll ever have.